Now this, Trump again called on the Fed to lower interest rates. Watch.
Your reaction to the latest numbers from the Labor Department saying that inflation rose slightly last month?
Very slight. Essentially, they were exactly as anticipated, very low inflation. So what you should do is lower the rate. The Fed should lower the rate immediately.
White House National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett joins us again this morning. Kevin, what do you think of the suggestion that the president create a shadow Fed board with you at its head? Now, you're smiling again, so what do you think of that?
No. Look, what needs to happen is that the Federal Reserve needs to get back on the curve looking at where rates ought to be. One of the things that we look at the National Economic Council to think about interest rates is just how are we positioned vis-a-vis other countries. And so right now, if you look at the normal correlation between interest rates from Europe and interest rates here in the U.S., then the U.S. rates are high by about 2.5%. And so the Fed has been very, very slow. And they have said that they're doing that because of tariffs and tariff uncertainty. But as you know, Stu, the inflation data have been fine. The core CPI was 0.2 yesterday. And today we get a producer price index print, which is zero. Yeah. So actually zero inflation. You know, by some of the moving average measures that we look at for a measure of inflation, the Fed is back to its 2% target. And so it's just unusual, I think, to all economists and indeed to observers like the president that the Fed hasn't moved yet.
What will you do? What will the president say? I don't know how you can tell me what he's going to say in the future, but what do you expect from the president if we do not get rate cuts in the next couple of months from the Fed?
I guess the president will continue to discuss it, yeah. but my expectation is that the data are going to continue to come in as they have, very, very low inflation. And at some point, you know, there's already dissent at the Fed about where the rate should be. And so I would guess that the Fed is going to have to hurry up and get back on the curve. They're way behind the curve right now.
I want you to explain something. The president is going to sign an executive order, expected to sign an executive order, to help open up 401ks to private markets. Can you explain exactly what that is? Can you tell me what I would be able to put my 401k money into that I can't put it into now?
You know, I think that the president, when the president signs a final order, then we can talk about the details. But I think that within a 401k, the way to think about it is there are fiduciaries that have a fiduciary duty to make sure you're investing in sound things. And I think that it's appropriate that our government regularly review what is an acceptable and not acceptable investment, because over time, as you know, financial markets can evolve very rapidly, and there could be new types of products that maybe should be part of a diversified portfolio.
Well, I can invest in a private equity firm like Blackstone. I can do that already. What difference does this make to that?
Well, the issue is, what about smaller investors, right? And are there ways that you can come up with alternative investments, alternative just to publicly traded equities that are available to people who don't have tens of millions of dollars? Okay. And I think that would be the way people are thinking about the problem.
See, I'm not suggesting that I've got tens of millions of dollars to put into Blackstone, to put in my 401k.
I bet you do, Stu.
We're not going there, Kevin. We're not going there. I do want to ask you about this. The president says he's lowering the tariff on Indonesia, going down to 19%. Mm-hmm. When are we going to get these other major trade deals that we promised that we're going to get them, but they don't really appear?
Oh, they are coming, and you just saw one with Indonesia. And the bottom line is the president has given a very strict deadline with these letters for people to come in and finish the negotiations. So anybody who thought that it might be a good idea to drag their feet a little bit longer to hold out for a little bit more or less of a concession to the United States, they now know that they got to put up or face the consequences of doing what it says in the letter. And so we've seen a flurry of new activity, even requests from new countries since the letter started to go out. And so we've got Indonesia out, and there's going to be a whole bunch more very, very soon.
I have to ask you about your smile, because whenever you appear on this program, you always start with a smile and you end with a smile, and you go through the entire interview with a smile. Do you have what I would call...
I'm having fun.
Can you show us an angry face? Have you got one?
Come on.
That's not
I'm not an
angry.
actor. I'm just saying that all you got with Kevin is what Kevin is. Kevin is just Kevin. So there you go.
I'll tell you this, that is very popular. People like a smile. They like a positive approach to the financial industry, and you've got it. Kevin, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu.
Still waiting for that angry face. All right.